Good day everyone, and you're welcome back to our channel once again. Today we are going to be discussing the general characteristics of bacteria. Now, bacteria are an interesting group within the microbial community. We know that the study of bacteria is called bacteriology, and bacteria are important because when you look at bacteria, they together with archaea are together in the kingdom Monera. Now, the kingdom Monera is interesting because they are the only kingdom that have prokaryotic cells, and their cells are not eukaryotic. So bacteria are the members of the kingdom Monera. Now, it's important to note that bacteria are numerous, they are ubiquitous, they can be found in very many different environments, and they have special characteristics that make them special. They have characteristics that make them special, and we are going to discuss some of these characteristics of bacteria. Now, the first characteristics of bacteria is that they are simple microbial cells. They are usually unicellular cells, so a single cell carrying out all the different life functions. So the bacterial cells that we have are usually a single cell, and that single cell carries out all the different life functions. Now, that's not to say that bacteria cannot exist in a colony or in pairs or in tetras. They do exist in such arrangements, but each bacterial cell is a single cell, and each cell is carrying out all the different characteristics of life. This is important to note. Another important characteristic to note about the bacteria is that the bacteria possess a peptidoglycan cell wall. Bacteria have a cell wall, and that cell wall is important. It helps the bacteria by conferring strength on the bacteria. It helps to give the bacteria shape. It helps the bacteria to control what comes in and goes out of the bacterial cell. Now, this cell wall is made up of a particular material, and this material is called the peptidoglycan. Now, this peptidoglycan, we're going to shoot another video where we're going to talk extensively about this peptidoglycan layer, bilayer, which the cell wall of bacteria is made up of. But it's important to note at this stage that the cell wall of bacteria is made from this peptidoglycan layer. This is very important to note. Now, another important characteristic to note is the size of bacteria. The bacterial size is measured in micrometer, and it's important to understand what a micrometer is. So to get an idea of what the micrometer is, if you take a ruler, many rulers are in centimeters, some of them are in meters. Now, if you take a ruler and you look at 1 meter on a ruler, that 1 meter divided into a million places is what we call 1 micrometer. So when you divide 1 meter into a million places, you have a micrometer. And that is why the bacteria, we say that they are microscopic in nature, because they are so small such that they cannot be seen by the naked eye. So the unit of measurement for bacteria is the micrometer, and bacterial size ranges from 2 to 5 to 7 micrometers. This is important to note and is important to understand. Bacteria also, as a characteristic, lack the true nucleus. Now, this is a characteristic for all prokaryotic cells. They do not have a true nucleus. Bacteria also, being a prokaryotic cell, does not have a true nucleus. What the bacteria has is a region, an area that we refer to as the nucleoid region. Now, in this nucleoid region, we have a concentration of genetic materials in an area of the cell. Now, this area of the cell, what differentiates the prokaryotic cell from the eukaryotic cell is that the eukaryotic cell would have a membrane around this nucleoid region. But for the bacterial cell, which is a prokaryotic cell, it doesn't have a membrane around this nucleoid region. The region is just there and the genetic material is there. Now, bacteria has a single circular chromosome. It has one chromosome which is single, a single one, and is circular. But it's very gigantic, and it has to be coiled into that area of the bacteria. This is important to know. It's also important to know that apart from the nucleoid region, there are also strands of DNA which can exist within the bacterial cell in areas that are away from the nucleoid region. These strands of DNA, we refer to them as plasmids. And so many times we call them extra chromosomal DNA. Extra chromosomal DNA because they are DNA, but they are not present within the chromosome, or they are not in the nucleoid region. But they are also important because they confer particular characteristics on the bacteria. They help the bacteria, give it particular characteristics such as resistance, such as fertility, and such as the ability to produce toxins. So all of these things can be related or are related to the presence of plasmids in bacteria. This is very important. Bacteria also, as a characteristic, reproduces using binary fission. Now, binary fission is a process where a parent cell divides into two daughter cells. This happens a lot in the bacterial cell, and it's important for us to know this and understand this. So the time it takes for the bacterial cell to divide from a parent cell into two daughter cells, we sometimes call it the reproduction time or the turnaround time. This is important to note. Now, it's also good to know that apart from binary fission, bacteria also undergo what we call conjugation. And conjugation is a process where two bacterial cells can come together and exchange genetic material. Now, this happens oftentimes, and it's important for this to happen because it helps the bacterial cell to be able to acquire new genetic material different from the one that has been coming from many generations, and also give out some of its genetic materials, thereby bringing variation into the community. This is very important, and it does happen many times. Now, there are very many different examples of bacteria that exist, and bacteria are important because they are ubiquitous in nature. They can be found everywhere, and they affect humans in quite a number of ways. Some bacteria are pathogenic in nature and they are able to cause disease, and then you have some that even occur within the normal, human body. You have many examples of bacteria: Staphylococcus aureus, Escherichia coli, Klebsiella, Pseudomonas. So many different types of bacteria. It's important to know them and to know all these their characteristics. Now, it's also important, we'll round up this video by saying that the bacterial cell has internal and external structures. We're going to shoot a video where we're going to discuss all the internal structures of the bacterial cell and the external structures of the bacterial cell to give us better understanding of what the structure and the function of the bacterial cell looks like. Thank you for listening to this video on the characteristics of bacteria. Please share, like our content, and share it with your friends. Have a wonderful day.